Syed, really appreciate you taking time out of your day to join me here for this interview. How are you doing?
No worries, I'm good. How about yourself, Ruckus? Happy to be
I
here.
am good as well. So, the reason I invited you on is because I saw some wins from you in the Ecom campus. Could you explain what they were about?
Well, I ran this brand of mine for around a year before I decided to move on to sales. This was an e-commerce brand. It's like a high school project, I like to call it, because it's nothing too special. But for the onlookers, it looks quite sexy when you see the revenue. It's around 100K in around 8 months, and I owe it all. I owe it all to the teacher in in the ecom campus, Professor Shoaib. He was the one that guided me through everything. And I was lucky enough to be one of the first few hundred students, one of the first few thousand students in HU. So there weren't very many modules or anything, but I used to get individual attention from this teacher of ours. There were no apprentices back then, and it was a Discord server. And there were only a couple hundred students inside the ecom campus back then, because there were only a couple thousand in HU, unlike now, where there's hundreds of thousands. So I was lucky enough to receive kind of individual attention from the e-commerce teacher, Professor Shoaib, and he guided me through every single step of the book, and which led to me pulling in 100K. The product wasn't quite a winner, to be honest. Like, it wasn't something that could build a very big or sustainable income. But the important thing is that the things that I learned about e-commerce from all the time that I spent interacting with him, I can carry over and apply it, spin the wheel of fortune again, carry over and apply it to a better product, and then boom, I'm rich. This is how it's going to happen here. It's clear as day in my mind. And right now I'm working on a couple other products as well. So yeah, there's great
So
things.
you haven't moved on from ecom, you're just looking for a new product, right?
No, I haven't moved on from ecom. I took a break. I moved to SMMA. I got that shiny object syndrome because, like, what I ended up doing was buying a bunch of stock, and then I sat on a bunch of stock. So, like, I was basically selling to the UAE, whereas the mistake that I made was that I should have been selling to the USA and the Western markets. And Professor told me this. He told me to only test with a product that you could sell inside the West. I was like, okay, let me just scale things over here, then I can go to the West. This is what happens when you don't listen to your teachers. So basically what ended up happening was that I bought a shitload of stock, and I was ready. I was ready to go to war in the West. I was like, okay, let me just start running ads in the West as well. I'm getting like 10 orders a day in the UAE. Let me just test out the West. Of course, they're going to like jewelry. Like, it was a jewelry store. I'm just giving it away. I don't care. So I was like, people in the UAE, they like jewelry enough as it is. This trend came to the UAE from the Western nationals. So I was like, let me just start running this in the USA. Let me start running this in Australia and whatnot, and try and test it out, litmus test the product. And what ended up happening was that I spent $500 and only got like four orders. I was in negative. So that just kind of failed. It just wasn't meant to be, I guess. But the important thing is that I learned a bunch of stuff that I can now carry over to another product. And as soon as I hit an actual winner, which is an actual winner, you see, in e-commerce, they teach us about like four winning product criteria. There's the wow factor, there's sellability, there's profitability, and then there's scalability. As for me, my product checked all the boxes. This is how essential it is to have every box checked when it comes to product testing. So my product checked three out of the four boxes. The fourth box was scalability. My product didn't have scalability inside of it, which consequently led me to not being able to, scale it in the West. And so that brand didn't really become much of a thing. I'm still sitting on a couple hundred units, and I'm waiting for, not really waiting for it. Like, I've given it to my brother and he manages it. He's in HU as well. He's learned whatever he has to learn from the e-commerce campus, and I just tell him to run ads and run offers. He's in the copywriting campus, by the way. He's a sick copywriter. And yeah, I just tell him to run ads and just come up with random offers to try to sell out the stock. Meanwhile, I'm here working under my mentor. He's the one who's putting in the money for this, by the way. He's funding the e-commerce venture. He basically has this dream of running an e-commerce business because he's capped out his income in insurance, you see? So he sells insurance. He sells health insurance here in Dubai. to several hotels, to several corporations and business entities and whatnot. And that's what he's teaching me to do. But he wants me to run an e-commerce business alongside him. He wants my expertise. So I'm here to make his dream come true. And this is a win for me as well, because I get to, play around with products. Now I get to experiment. And eventually,
Right. So, sorry for interrupting. There's a few things to go into here. So, the first thing is, what ended up leading you to become an insurance broker?
yeah. So what ended up happening was that I first ran the e-commerce business. How I ended up here as an insurance broker, I first ran the e-commerce business for a while, and I ran it for about a good 8 months, and then I realized that there's no scalability to this. But at that point, I had made the mistake of being a dumbass and buying, I don't know, hundreds of units worth of stock of a product that's destined to fail. It just didn't have any scalability. I didn't have much margin to play with. It was selling like crazy though. I was selling 10 units a day, but like the plumbing was messed up. That's the best way to put it. So I decided to switch tracks, and I watched an Iman Gaji video. It was back in the remote revolution days, if you know what that is. He was promoting his SMMA course online. Mm-hmm. And he did so by uploading 3 videos teaching you apparently how to break out of the matrix. He basically did what Tate is doing. And he put out 3 videos that he was going to take down, apparently giving away some top secret information. I kind of fell for that. And then I just bought his $1,500 course. And I went down the path of SMMA because I just didn't have the heart to, shoot this dead horse. Know what I mean? Like the e-commerce business, the dead horse that is the e-commerce business, the horse with a broken leg. I didn't have the heart to just shoot it. I was like, okay, I'm going to run this e-commerce business side by side, and I'm going to do SMMA at the same time. I've had my taste with e-commerce. Let me just try making money a different way online. I fell for the grass is greener on the other side syndrome. And believe me, the grass wasn't greener on the other side. It's a pain to deal with people in SMMA, but shit. But I learned how to work a pipeline. I learned how to cold call. I learned how to outreach. I learned how to cold email. These are things that I never learned in when I was doing e-commerce. Because when you're doing e-commerce, you're kind of in your comfort zone. You don't really have to speak to anyone aside from support chat. You don't really have to get on Zoom meetings like this. You don't really have to cold call anyone. You're just like fulfilling orders and running ads, which is, to be honest, I'm more comfortable doing that than calling up strangers. But with SMMA, it wasn't a business model that suited me, mainly because of the fact that I'm sitting in the UAE. For me to convince someone to wire me thousands of dollars in exchange for services that may or may not get them results, it's absolutely asinine. You know what I mean? Like I don't care how good one's sales skills are. Like everyone knows what SMMA is at this point. It's like the tumor of online money making at this point. It's like drop shipping back in 2015. And these business owners, I even had one business owner. He told me that he has 17-year-olds cold calling him, telling him that they're going to change his business, whereas he's been running this business for the past 20 years because of this SMMA crap. So he was indirectly trying to diss me. That's what he was trying to do. I could tell, but it was a negative experience nonetheless. You can't really. Now, I used to think, why don't they teach SMMA in HU? And I just got my answer. It's not a good business model at all. Okay, yeah, I failed, but it's not a good business model. Simple as it is. It used to fuck with my sleep. Now, what led to me coming to insurance? I used to make 300 plus dials a day, every day. There came a time where I'd make around 300 dials. I'd be up all night. I'll be up all night because I'm calling the USA, right? We're like 12 hours apart. So I'd sleep by day. I'd go to the gym. I'd wake up, go to the gym, sit in front of my laptop, make 300 plus cold calls, book a couple meetings, and always get hit with the same objections. But as a consequence of this, I at least learned how to sell. I learned the basics of selling. I learned how to work a pipeline, which allowed me to get an entry over here. Because this is all about sales. Had I not known how to write emails, had I not known how to outreach, had I not known how to set appointments, had I not known how to conduct sales meetings, be it I didn't succeed, I wouldn't have ended up here. He would not have taken the time to, he wouldn't have felt that it's worth investing the brain calories on me to mentor me if I don't know how to draft a basic email. And I bet copywriting did play a role into it because I was in the copywriting campus for a while. So I did learn a couple of things about copywriting. And as for e-commerce, well, how e-commerce led to me coming here, the role that e-commerce played was that this mentor of mine, he wants to run an e-commerce business eventually. So here's the mutual interest. So he wanted a kid who knew how to run a business. He used to come to my dad. My dad even told me about him that my dad told me that he essentially wanted to get in touch with me a while ago, simply because of the fact that he knew about the e-commerce business that I was running and how well I was doing. I would have never attracted the attention of someone like this. This guy makes around 15K a month, US dollars, in commissions from selling insurance, which is good money. I mean, I know we like to talk about the matrix and everything, but having an offline income, being an expat in the UAE, and making that kind of money, you have made it pretty much. And the man's about 40 years old, so like, what else does a man want at that age? No one wants to be riding in Bugattis or anything at 40. So he's pretty much beat the game of insurance. Now all he wants to do is make an income online, which is a dream that I can make come true for him because of the real world.
I like that. And I'm just wondering, would you not have learned those same skills that you learned from social media marketing, either through the freelancing campus or copywriting campus?
The outreach part, yes, to an extent, but fulfillment, no. Because there's two coins to SMMA. There's two coins to SMMA. You need to learn how to fulfill as well.
Fulfill as in fulfill the value offer part of it?
Yeah. As in, if
and you're saying that translated to helping you now, that part as well.
Yeah, it does. It does. Because in copywriting, they do teach us how to outreach. I told you, like, it's 50% of the equation. But the reason I needed the SMMA courses was because of the fact that I needed to learn how to fulfill. I didn't know how to run lead gen campaigns.
Good. But again, lead gen campaigns, that sounds like something e-commerce should teach you, no?
No, advertising. That's it's different. Lead generation is different from e-commerce. E-commerce is Shopify and whatnot. They're like fulfilling local businesses is a whole nother ball game. It's nothing like e-commerce. The only thing that and e-commerce have in common is just the fact that with you run Facebook ads. That's it.
Yeah. Okay.
Backend is completely different.
And then, have you looked at freelancing campus?
I have. I went through every module in there a while ago. Back in the Discord days, though, not in the real world days.
So that leads me to the next question. What difference have you noticed between what HU used to be and what the real world is now?
These kids don't know how good they have it here. The real world is extremely, extremely. It's 100 times better than what HU used to be. That's all that I have to say. The content, the individual attention, the apprentices, the aesthetic, like Discord, like it was good and everything, but like you didn't really feel like you want to log in just to see the outlay. The interface, it's so user friendly. The whole thing just looks sexy. It feels premium, like an iPhone. That's what the real world feels like. And there's no shortage of resources. Like HU had 1% of the video material that the real world has. 1% in my eyes. Especially back when I joined. Like the Ecom campus didn't have any videos when I joined. It was just chat. It was just a group chat. And I'll tell you what, I learned most of what I know about e-commerce through that group chat. The modules.
Have you watched the video since?
Yeah, I have.
Okay, so you say you learned most of it through chat, but then if you were to join now, would you still learn a similar amount through the e-commerce videos, or are you saying it was a different kind of thing being talked about back then?
I can't really compare it. I can't. It's very tough for me to make a comparison because the modules these days they're so detailed, and then on the other hand, the individual attention that I used to get from Professor Shoaib, it was priceless as well. So I have trouble comparing, to be honest. I don't know what it's like to be a new student because like I have the rook rank next to my name. Most people know me. Like I don't know what it's like to be a new student. I'll have to go undercover to find that out and offer a comparison, possibly.
Sure. Okay, so from what you've seen, how different is the material and the things you've learned from the real world compared to what you can find out on the internet?
The thing is that like where how I like to look at it is that where you don't pay with money, you pay with time. You could either waste your time browsing about the internet, looking for the right kind of relevant information and piecing it together, or you could join HU, where you can interact with the person who has actually made the modules and he can answer your questions in real time in case you have any. To me, it's pretty obvious what the best choice is, and it's $49. Like for God's sake, like I still to this day get friends of mine coming up to me and asking me if it's really worth it, and they never join. They never end up joining, despite how much I tell them it is. You know what? I had a student from the real world that I've been lucky enough to be in touch with since a long time. He's now a crypto millionaire. I won't name him. He told me that not everyone when I went to him and I told him that my friends they want to join HU, they say that they want to join but they don't really join and they call it a scam sometimes and they just pussyfoot around it. Whereas all you have to do is pay $49 and just see what's inside, and then you could just leave if you don't like what's inside. So he told me not everyone wants to be a millionaire. Not everyone wants to make money. Not everyone is ambitious. It's not for everyone. We're only out here catering to a certain demographic. It's your choice at the end of the day if you want to join or not. So he told me not to waste my time on such people. Don't even bother trying to convince them.
And why do you think they only charge $50 for all the value they provide?
Because the thing is, like, if you were to charge anything less than $50, no one's going to give a shit. That's the thing. Like $50 is just enough for a person who's inside of the matrix to actually pay attention. Because if you give such a resource away for $19, they're not going to really give it the due respect that it deserves. When you pay $50 for something and you're an average person, so $50 is like a fair chunk of money. It costs more than a gym membership, or about the same as a gym membership here in Dubai. So you're gonna at least look at it. You're gonna check in on it once in a while. Since I paid $50 for it, might as well spend some time inside of it. So the $50 mark is to weed out the non-serious buyers. That's what I believe.
And trolls as well, because if you have it cheaper, it's easier for trolls to join.
And trolls as well.
Okay, so did the wins channel have any kind of impact on you?
The wins channel, yeah, it does. It does. When I look at people winning with e-commerce, especially, I fully believe that it is possible. It reinstills the fact that in my mind that there is a lot of money to be made. There's no such thing as saturation, especially when it comes to e-commerce, since it's $1 billion expanding industry. It grows by $1 billion. It grew by, I think Professor Syed mentioned this in one of his modules, that the e-commerce industry grew by around $3.5 million, $3.5 billion with a B. Sorry. Don't quote me on that, but it's around 3.5 billion in the past 5 years. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
An industry like that, which is, and it's continuing to grow. So why can't you get in the middle of the money that's moving already? You can. There's more money that's about to move. You can always get in between it.
Right. So saturation is for people who say it's saturated are people who don't really know what they're doing. If you know what you're doing, it doesn't matter. You will get profits from it.
Exactly. Saturation, I reckon certain people tend to use saturation as a cop out. They tell it to themselves so that they don't have to try very hard. So they give themselves permission to quit halfway through. I didn't quit SMMA because it was too saturated. I just didn't fucking like it. I genuinely did not like the business model. I genuinely did not like dealing with people that had no respect for me. I genuinely did not like staying up late. And staying up late and like not being able to see the sun, it fucks with your mental health. Whereas with e-commerce, this doesn't have to take place. Whereas with freelancing or copywriting, this doesn't have to take place. You can work on your time. You don't have to stay up all night cold calling people from another country, from the other side of the world, being at their mercy. So anything that they teach in HU, it's miles better than anything else that you'll find outside. Because there's plenty of ways to make money. I'm seeing appointment setting, YouTube automations, remote closing, etc., etc. All HU basically picked the finest, the cream of the crop of methods to make money online, if you get what I mean. And they placed it inside of one community, and they packaged it as one big, what do you call, one big facility, and then handed it to you. It's not
that
just
was very well put. That was very well put. So what was the biggest challenge you faced when first starting out in the Ecom campus?
To be honest, I used to get like analysis paralysis when I used to look at Facebook ads. But I had Professor Shoaib to guide me through it. It was like the main menu of a game that you've never played before. That's the closest thing that I could describe it to. It was extremely difficult to navigate, the ads manager. I couldn't really read data. It reminded me of Excel and used to make my head spin. But slowly but surely, Professor Shoaib guided me. And the best thing is that whenever I'd write a message, even if it was like 3 a.m. in the morning, my time, he'd respond within 5 minutes. That's the thing. That's how active that chat was. And it's still like that, to be honest, to an extent. But imagine like a millionaire in the trade that you're trying to pursue and you're trying to make money in. He's right there, willing to answer you at any time of the day. And he's one text away. What excuse do you have? You really don't. If you have that kind of facility available to you, if you have that kind of person in your corner, now we have apprentices who have made a shitload of money with e-commerce or with that particular trade in that particular campus that you're in. So there's more than one guide available for you. On top of all the resources, you just shortcut your way to success. There's no excuse for someone to fail. Especially if you're an ecom.
And it's great to see just how much the professors actually care. This isn't just for ecom, like all the professors generally care about your success.
No, of course, they do.
Okay, so now moving on to the big question.
Yeah.
What have been the 3 biggest lessons you've learned from your time in the real world?
I have this written down. The first one is extreme accountability, the fact that everything's your fault. You can't really blame anyone. You have no one else to blame. You win, it's entirely your fault. You lose, it's entirely your fault. That's something that I learned from Tate. And then second is that there's no shortage of money or clients in the marketplace. So this is something that Professor Arno really stresses, and he's completely right. There is no shortage. The marketplace is like it's ever growing, it's ever expanding. You should never think of one of the things, like one of the mentors taught me, is that markets don't get saturated. Your offer gets saturated, if you know what I mean. If you could put a different spin on the same product, you can still make money. You can still milk money that there still is in the market. So you should never be disheartened. And you should never go into it. You should always go into sales and everything with an abundance mindset. No one can take every client in the world. You're going to find your place as well. You just need to learn something valuable. Oh, and this just came to me spontaneously. You shouldn't focus so much. You shouldn't be attached so much to when you're going to end up making money or how soon you're going to end up making money. You should just really focus on getting good at your craft. That's what Professor Arno told me. He told us students in one of his lessons that one should focus on perfecting his craft and the money will follow. You shouldn't be so concerned with when the money's going to come in. You should be concerned about becoming good at what you do. Only then you're deserving of money. You can't just get money out of nowhere. You need to be actually good at what you do. Just focus on becoming competent. That's something that I learned. And it's something that I tell myself every day since I've learned it. And it came to me spontaneously because I've been thinking about it nonstop, even today. Because sometimes even I look at the chessboard and I'm like, I've been at it for 1.5 years. Why is it that I haven't made money yet? Why is it that I haven't, like struck rich yet? But then I compare myself to basically any teenager or anyone I've known around my age, and all they do is fucking jerk off, play video games, maybe hang out with friends. So like, it's pathetic. So like, I'm miles ahead of them, anyways. So I hope this is making sense, though, what I'm saying.
Yeah.
English isn't my first language, but I hope it's making sense.
No, all good. I can understand you clearly. Everything's great. And you're articulating it well, so no problems.
And then the third lesson is by Luke, Professor Luke. Basically, what he said that most of us already know what to do. He's repeating what Tate said once. We just pretend we don't in order to delay the work. Because it's painful to do the work, right? It's painful to do outreach. It's painful to do outreach. It's painful to, to make content, to test products. Everything's painful. Business is basically pain. How much pain can you endure, and for how long can you endure that pain? That's what business is in a nutshell. So people try and avoid that. People fake ignorance to try to avoid that.
Right.
That's something that I've noticed.
And you see that a lot, yeah.
So that's pretty much it. Those are the 3 lessons. The one that came to me spontaneously that really hit home. Focus on getting good at your craft, not on the money. The money will follow. The marketplace rewards the people who are competent.
Yep. It's something we spoke about before, about saturation. If you are not good at your craft, you'll just say the market is saturated, there's nothing I can do. But if you know what you're doing, there is no such thing as saturation.
That's true.
Right. So great answers by you. And now moving on to, since you're on this trajectory, where do you see your life heading in 6 months to 1 year?
Well, to be honest, I think I'm going to hit it off over here with a winner product sooner or later. He's quite positive. My mentor is quite positive. He wants to fund this e-commerce operation. He's quite patient. I'm sure that in case this next product that we're testing, in case that fails, he's going to reinvest some more money. He doesn't mind throwing money at this business idea because he fully believes in the cause. And this is basically I'm only 20 years old, by the way. I turned 20 2 months ago, and I have my life ahead of me. So this is what Professor Shoaib told me once. He's like, you're so stressed out, but like you should look at yourself. And I tend to get stressed out sometimes because as I told you, like when I look at my life situation and when I look at the chessboard and I think to myself that I still haven't made the kind of money that I want to make, and I'm still living with my parents right now. So I get frustrated, but he told me that you learned all these skills. How many 20-year-olds do you know who can work pipelines? How many 20-year-olds do you know who can run ads? How many 20-year-olds do you know who can write copy? All of these skills, they stack, right? And sooner or later, something's going to blow up. Something's going to work out. And as for the next 6 to 12 months, I believe that I'll be making a full-time income through selling insurance, because I'm under this guy's mentorship, who's literally had a decade's worth of experience in insurance. He's 40 years old. He's a well-wisher. And if I didn't have this e-commerce skill, he wouldn't be as invested in me. I know this for a fact. So I have something. I bring some, because a relationship can only work if both parties bring value. One can't be the taker. So if I'm taking his time to learn how to sell insurance, he's taking up mine to make his ecom dream come true, to have a side income. Because in insurance, yeah, it's sexy and everything. It can give you a good life, but you can't really expect past 15K a month in insurance. It has a cap to it. You can't handle that many clients because it's insurance is about selling and servicing clients. You can't have an infinite number of clients, whereas with e-commerce you can. You can, can't you? Look at Gymshark. So this is eventually what I want to do for a living, having multiple e-commerce stores, because I've seen it works. If someone can sell, I've sold 2,000 units so far, around 2,000 units of products. So if I can sell 2,000, why can't I sell 200,000? Why can't I sell 2 million? I can, of course, especially if I have different stores targeting different markets, different niches. Of course I can. And I've learned the process. It's the same cycle. I just didn't have anyone to back it up financially, and now I do. Now that I do, I'm 110% sure that within the next 2 years, I'm gonna find a winner product, and it's gonna scale to a point of a full-time income. And by a full-time income, I believe it's gonna scale to at least $6K a month net, and that's on top of the income that I'll be making with insurance. And as for the next 6 months, 6 to 12 months, I believe I should be making around $4,000 with insurance, and then anything on top of that I'll be making through an e-commerce business. I don't know what kind of figure I'll be making, to be honest. That's up to fate. But I guess our job is to just show up every day and do the right thing and put in the work, and then just God rewards those who show the most competence.
All right, so I love your answer. And that is all my questions for you, Syed. So for people who want to find out more about you or contact you, where can they do so?
You're welcome to DM me over at ahmeds.brb. It's going to be ahmeds.brb on Instagram. I'd be welcome to answering any questions. I'll welcome any questions regarding the real world, regarding issue, regarding basically anything. And if you're a date hater, then I want nothing to do with you, pretty much. And other than that, yeah, you guys are welcome to DMing me, asking me whatever it is that you need to know about e-commerce or about the real world. My friends call me a walking advertisement for the real world, by the way.
Nice.
So I'm happy that this interview took place. I can really express myself.
Right. And we can do a follow-up in future when things have scaled even more for you.
Why not?
So as for your Instagram, I will add it to the description of the video, so anyone who's interested can click that. And Syed, again, thank you for your time, and I wish you all the best.
No worries. Appreciate you as well. It was nice talking to you, Lucas.